Because I know you
Oh,
do a
it's
bunch of different ones,
yeah.
right?
So that one's a banishing candle.
A
I just
banishing
kind of
candle.
figured like everyone's got some shit that they want to get rid of, right? So everyone's
Can you do
got.
me a favor? I'm sorry. Just try to keep that like a fist away from. You can pull
Oh
it
yeah.
back, and then that way you don't have to move too much. Yeah, you
Is
can
it
move it
too
around.
close? Is it too
No,
far?
you want to keep it like a fist away from your mouth.
Oh.
So you can pull
Okay.
it. Yeah, if you want to pull it back so you're not leaning uncomfortably. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
And we can go headphones, no headphones. It's your call.
I really don't care.
You want to try the headphones?
Sure.
There's one right there.
Okay.
That's going to be your set. We'll see if you like them. How does that sound?
Good.
I can go higher, lower on the volume?
That's
Good?
fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so the candle.
Yeah. So I just figured that everyone has something they want to get rid of. You know, there's
Pretty good assumption.
Yeah, there's got to be something in your life that you don't necessarily want to be there anymore. Some kind of a negative influence. So, I just figured without knowing you and never having met you before, that would probably be the safest bet to bring you.
Wow, it smells incredible.
Oh, thank you.
So what is in there? Is that just the crumbles on top?
So what you have on top is black salt.
Wow, that smells really good.
Thank you. It's scented with rosemary.
Get rid of negativity, evil, ill intentions, bad luck, unhealthy ties to others, unwanted habits, or any kind of negative influence that you need to cut ties with. Handmade with natural soy wax, black salt, and dried vervain?
Vervain. Yeah.
Vervain.
Yeah.
I don't know what vervain is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not a super common herb. Not a lot of people use it. It's really good for like getting rid of and banishing and just kind of creating some kind of an energetic barrier that sort of blocks off the things you don't want.
Okay,
So,
that's
yeah.
what it's a root.
A root?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vervain? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. Thank you.
You're
I'm gonna have to
welcome.
light that in here so I can banish all the darkness out of this room as well. So, Azila's cauldron.
Yeah.
What is that for people that don't know?
The name of the company kind of came about in a weird, obscure way.
Yeah, we could start with that if you'd like.
Okay.
About how you got Azila.
Okay. So my name is actually Kristen, and back when I was really, really young, and I just got into kind of the whole research process of, you know, witchcraft and folk magic and all that stuff. I started having this weird dream where I was, you know, long story short, I was signing a whole bunch of letters as Azila. And I'd never heard that name before, had no idea. And it was actually like, I think you pronounce it Azila Tihi. It was like Tihi, something odd. And I was like, okay, that's weird. Well, had the dream again, and again, and again. And I was like, oh, I need to look up what that means. And so I did some research on it, and it's actually something along the lines of silent asylum or safe asylum in Croatian, which is, I know, super creepy.
Surprising.
I was freaked out. I was like, ooh, I don't like that. That sounds weird. But then I started thinking about it. And, you know, the word asylum is kind of like a safe space. I know we have kind of a negative connotation with the word asylum.
Yeah, today.
Insane asylums and things like that. But if you look it up, it means, you know, safe space or like a sanctuary of some kind. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, I can work with that. And so I kind of started out the business with making candles, and the pot that I used to melt my wax in looks like this big, like, old, janky cauldron. So I was like, okay, it's going to be Azila's cauldron. That's what I'll call it. And it stuck.
And so you had never heard Azila before?
No.
The dream?
No.
That is weird.
It is really
And it
weird.
was a recurring dream. You had it multiple
Yes.
times.
Yeah. I know it sounds creepy and really off the wall and super nutty, but yeah, that's where that came from.
Well, there's a line of thinking, right, that dreams are manifestations. And I think you kind of fall into that camp, right? Where
Yeah.
dreams have a little nuance to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think dreams are kind of a way for our intuition to kind of talk to us, Um, in our like waking lives and, every day, we kind of shut that part of ourselves down because we're dealing with, reality. But when we're sleeping, we don't have that filter in our minds that we're kind of looking at everything through. So I think that that's kind of a way for our subconscious and our intuition to sort of pop up and say, like, hey, this is what you need to know. Or, that's also a way for us to deal with the things that we're suppressing or not listening to within ourselves. So I think dreams are super important and they do have big potential to carry a lot of messages. So
Have you had that dream since coming up with Azila's Cauldron?
since realizing what the name meant, no.
Really?
Yeah. I totally
How
stopped
many
having
times
the
would you
dream.
say that you had the dream? If you had to
I would
guess.
say several times over the course of like a year and a half. So it
And then
kept
it just went
popping up
away.
and then it just went away.
That's
So
crazy.
I can only assume that that must have been something, super important.
And so had you been doing spell work before starting Azila's Cauldron, or did that come
Yeah.
after? You had
Yeah.
been.
Yeah. So I kind of started Azila's Cauldron shortly after I started getting into all the spell work and everything. Technically, I've been doing all that stuff since I was little. I just didn't really realize it. Um, I
What do you mean by that?
just little things that were kind of passed down, like, in my family, or from my mom, things I was raised to do. I was raised in a Christian household, but at the same time, we were very, like, we believed in the power of manifestation. We believed in, you know, spirits and magic and the power, like, it was the power of prayer, but it wasn't prayer. It was more like, I guess, manifesting, you know? It's a really hard concept to describe.
Well, it's interesting because in the line of church thinking, right, those two realms are kind of separate. The church and I guess you would say witchcraft or spells.
Yeah.
Those don't really jive
They're
historically.
yeah, they're seen as separate, but honestly, I don't think they are. I think that it's just um I think it's just kind of, without offending anybody.
Oh, you can offend people. That's okay. You can do that here.
I think it's just kind of the sort of the realm that you're looking at it from. So, like, something that I would do could be the same thing that is done in church. But if it's them doing it, it's okay. But if it's me doing the same thing, it's not okay.
Do you have an example of that?
Um,
Because one that comes to mind for me is lighting of the candles
yeah.
in church,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I've never, and I don't really know that much about that, so I'm going out on a limb here. But normally that's in the passing of a loved one, right? Or if you hope to not achieve something, but maybe life is a little rough, you would go and light a candle in the hopes that maybe things will get better.
Yeah.
And that's kind
Yeah.
of what you do with your
Yeah.
candles to some extent.
Mhm. Yeah. But if it's seen as coming from, whatever it is that you're receiving, for them, as far as I'm, as far as my understanding goes, it's seen as coming from a blessing from their God. Whereas if it's anyone else doing it in any other context, it's seen as of the devil, you know? So, or if it's anything other than coming from um, God, then it's bad.
It's evil.
Yeah. Yeah.
Were your parents involved in like creating spell? What would you call that? Witchcraft? What is the name for that?
I would say a good umbrella term is probably witchcraft,
Witchcraft.
because it does describe a lot of,
Hits all your bases.
yeah, it
Yeah.
does, yeah.
Were your
Yeah.
parent? Did your parents do that? You just kind of
Not
found it.
no. I it's funny because I look back at like some of the things my mom used to do. Um, and I think that it was borderline spell work and it was, but she wouldn't call it that. She would be like, "Oh no, she's scared of what I do." And I'll tell her sometimes and she'll be like, "Don't tell me about that." But I'll be like, "Mom, come on." I think it's just a matter of like how you look at it. A lot of the things that I do is kind of falls under the folk magic um, umbrella, which is kind of like those stories, old wives' tales, and things that your grandma used to say, like oh, if you use this herb for that, then it's helpful for this, or you know the throwing salt over your shoulder or whatever it is that just those stories that grandma or great grandma would tell you. It's all a form of like that belief system. To me, like, I see it as witchcraft, like, okay. you know but to them it's just superstition, or something like that.
Well, the big one is knock on wood, right? If you say something
That one
bad or if you
too.
think something bad, you have to knock on wood to
Yeah.
counteract that. Which, how
Yeah.
crazy is that? It doesn't do anything,
I know.
and yet you have to do it.
Yeah. I think superstition plays a lot into it, and belief plays a lot into it. If you believe that you're going to get bad luck as a result of something you're doing or not doing, you're gonna, it's probably gonna happen to you just because you believe it's gonna happen.
Yes. Manifesting is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds corny when you say it like that. When people hear manifestation, they start rolling their eyes, and you're like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But you can, and I don't know if maybe it's not manifestation, but you can bring things about by hyper focusing on them, good things and bad things. If you
Yeah.
think the worst is going to happen, odds are the worst is going to happen.
Yeah.
And the same is true if you think, okay, this is going to be okay. I'm going to make it through this. Everything's going to be all right. Then that's probably going to happen. It's all about perspective in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, would you say that carries over into your candles? That a lot of it is intention
Yeah.
and kind of forward thinking in that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, a lot of times I have seen, like, in my craft and with the clients that I deal with and stuff, a lot of times people don't trust themselves to be able to, manifest what they want or things like that. And um, sometimes I'll do something for, a client, and it's nothing different than what he or she has done for themselves. It's nothing different from what they're doing. And, I could hand the ritual to them. I can hand the ingredients to them. I could tell them exactly how I'm doing it. They could do it themselves. But because they don't trust themselves to the level that they trust someone else to do it, it's not going to work out the same for them because they have that internal doubt. But if they hand it to me and say, you know what you're doing, you do it, then it's going to work out because they believe. You know what I mean? They believe, they trust me on a different level than they trust themselves, which sounds horrible. I do the same thing though. Sometimes I will not trust the outcome of something myself. I will, like, for example, when I'm doing readings for myself, I second guess everything. Like, okay, well, I I think I know what I'm seeing in the cards, but I'm gonna go get a second opinion. So I have someone else that I go to for that because there's always that level of self doubt.
Do you think that's a control thing? That people want to feel that there's some natural order and that somebody has the power to control that? That okay, I can't, I can't control how this turns out for me, but if I go to this person who says that they can and that they can see what my future is going to be, I can trust that because I want to believe in that. There's like that weird dynamic of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
Where people do not like the concept of just random acts happening.
Yes.
Just good things happening to bad people, bad things happening to good people. It's easier if you go to someone and they say, okay, something bad is going to happen. And then you're prepped for it. Okay, something bad's going to happen. I'm prepared. I can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I wonder what that stems from. I think it's just that control issue where people want to be in control. They want to have that power.
Yeah.
To some extent, right?
Yeah. Or I think that there's kind of a need. Um, it kind of reminds me of why people like that whole Jesus take the wheel thing. You
That's
know?
another big one.
Yeah. Um, just that need to kind of have that trust that someone else has got it, or um, there is something bigger that is, controlling things. There's something bigger that has um, the whole order of everything and life and all of that down. And it's all going to go a certain way. And you can just kind of release it and let it go. And, someone else has got it.
Somebody else is in control.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry. I don't have to
Yeah.
stress.
Yeah.
They've got it figured out. We're kind of in that situation with, not to get like political or anything, but just societal wise, right? Where we elect a president and we hope this person has it under control. I don't have to worry about global affairs because we have this president and this president is going to handle it.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I can just go about living my life, focusing on my small little things. They've got the big picture.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of levels that we kind of have a tendency to do that on.
Do you notice that with a lot of people that come to you, is they're hoping that you're going to take control and say, "Okay, this is what's going to happen for you. Here's this candle. This candle's going to clear out all the cobwebs. You're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Life's going to go on. Just take a breath. It's going to be all right."
Yeah. I think that um, I do notice a lot of times with like my clients that I do readings for, my readings tend to frustrate people a lot because I am very, like you have the power. You have control over, your choices dictate everything that happens in your life. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. So, my goal is to kind of lay out like, here are your choices. Here's what you can do. Here's what will happen if you go this route. Here's what will happen if you go that route. But it's all up to you. People don't like that.
So you leave options open for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, no, I want you to tell me what to do. What path do I have to take to where my life pans out perfectly?
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Are these tarot readings that we're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
The tarot readings with the cards.
Tarot, is that how you say it? I always say
Tarot,
tarot.
yeah.
Tarot. Can you explain that to me? Because I don't understand that. It's like, it's just a deck of cards, and if you draw a certain card, it's got a meaning behind it?
Yeah. Yeah. So every card in the deck has a pre-designated meaning. I just kind of, I'll let the client, ask questions, or, we'll pick a certain topic and I'll just start pulling cards. And what happens with me is when I pull cards, like I know what each card means, how they relate to each other, and what cards get drawn with other cards around it. It just creates this like picture in my mind right away. So, just I know it's kind of hard to explain, but the first thing that comes into my mind, like I just know, like this is the message that is coming up with these cards, and this is how it's relevant to you.
The message in terms of how all the cards piece together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And does each card have a specific meaning, or that meaning can change depending on the cards that are drawn with it?
It can change depending on, I mean,
so you need all of the cards to be drawn to have like an accurate picture of where this is going to go.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like one particular card can have, it's got positive, it's got positive aspects of it, it's got negative aspects of it, and whichever one is prevalent during that reading depends on, what the topic is, first of all, and what the cards are around it. So how you read that one card kind of depends on the whole picture of all of the cards that come up.
That's interesting. I've never done a tarot reading or anything.
We'll
like
have
that,
to
but
do one
yeah,
sometime.
I'm fascinated by the idea, and I don't know how does it. So it's question based as well. You have to ask a question, and then that's how the cards get drawn.
Not necessarily.
You could just come in and have the cards drawn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that change the meaning behind it? Like if they asked you a specific question and you started drawing cards, would you form a different interpretation than if they just walked in? Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, if a client doesn't have a question, they just want to see whatever comes up in the cards, I will use the cards as a cue for what topic is being brought up or what topic is being talked about within the cards. So a lot of times the big ones are like money and work. Um, Sometimes it's family that comes up a lot, and like family relationships. Love comes up a lot. Just whatever. It usually tends to be the one thing that they're having the most trouble with in their life. And I think it's crazy that that's what usually it it usually corresponds. So whatever they're having trouble with, that's what I'll see in the cards right away, even though I know nothing about them or what's going on in their life, or even if I've never met them before.
How much does the idea of leading come into play with that, right? Because that's the big one everybody talks about is when you go, especially to like a medium, a
Mhm.
lot of people say, oh, they're just leading you in the direction that
Oh,
you want to go
yeah.
and they're just following you there. And then it portrays in this way where it's like they knew everything about you, but they didn't because you just kind of followed them into that place. Does that make sense? Did I lay that
I
out?
think so. I think I know what you're talking about.
The big
And
one is like if you went to a medium and you're like, I'm going through this really rough time in my life, and then they say, "Oh, did somebody die?" And you're like, "Yeah, yeah, somebody did
mm,
die." And then was it a family member? Yeah, yeah, it was a family. Like, and it's just this walking. You're walking down this path because
yeah.
you want to go there, and they're kind of just following you through that.
So, excuse me, that frustrates me to no end. Frustrates me so much because I do see that all the time.
I'm sorry. Can you pull that just a
Oh, yeah.
tad bit closer?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Better?
Yep.
Okay. So I do see that all the time, where people fall victim to something like that. I've heard it referred to as cold reading. So it's that situation where it's like, oh, there's this person and I'm getting an L. Is there someone with an L name? And it's, looking for cues in the client for like, does that resonate or does it not resonate? And if it
Yes.
doesn't resonate, then, I don't do that. It bothers me so much that people do that because like, you're basically handing them the information that they need to read you.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. You put it a little
Yeah.
more concisely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't like that at all. I do think that there is something I can see where it is helpful for people on one hand, because that's the type of situation where sometimes people go to readers because they want to hear what they want to hear, or they need to hear what they want to hear. And readers like that are in the business of telling people what they want to hear, and sometimes that's just what someone needs.
It's a closure thing.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's like, it's comforting, you know. I am not that way. I don't care if you're comforted. I want you to hear what you need to hear, even if that is the hardest thing for you to hear. So a lot of times I will um, bring up what's coming up in the cards, and like, I don't need you to tell me any information. I don't need you to excuse me. I don't need you to confirm if it's right or not. You just need to hear what's being said. If you want to tell me something, you can after the reading is done, and we'll go from there. But I don't like to. I actually prefer for my clients not to tell me anything.
Is that because you don't want to be influenced by what they're
Yes.
saying?
Yes. And I also don't want them to feel like I'm being influenced by what they're saying. So,
Yes.
yeah.
That seems to be a big issue, right?
Yeah.
Is those people that are just looking for some closure and then they get taken advantage of. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know who Teresa Caputo is.
I've heard of her.
I think
Yeah.
she's like the Long Island medium. I don't know if that's right, but she's a medium. She does kind of those seance things, I believe, where you can come in and get a personal reading.
Yeah.
I went to one of her shows with my family one time. My mom really wanted to go, and she would walk through the crowd and pick a random person and then go on this spiel about, oh, your daughter died, and she's I'm connecting to her and she's telling me that she really loves you and all of this stuff. And I remember sitting there the whole time. I was like, what is happening here?
Wow.
Because it's hard. I believe in ghosts. I think ghosts are real, but can somebody connect to that? And can somebody say, oh, this is your family member, and that kind of seems like a stretch for
Yeah.
me. And
Yeah.
especially when you have this person who's making a lot of money doing stuff like that. The skeptic
Mhm.
in me kind of goes, "Yeah, but what are we doing here?"
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Um I think it's a little I mean, I don't want to say that it's not true because I don't, I don't know. Like also I don't like talking crap about anyone else, but in their business or what they do, but it's a little far-fetched to assume that, someone's loved one who has passed is going to come up on demand like that in such a public situation. Um, you know what I mean? It just,
There's
I,
a lot of dots that you have to
yeah,
connect, and it gets a little dicey.
yeah,
Yeah, not to talk shit on. I mean, she's clearly successful in what she's doing.
yeah,
She makes a lot of money,
yeah.
and she
She
does
is
those
really
huge
popular.
shows. And the burden of proof. I mean, who knows, right? Maybe she's just really connected and fooling everybody, but maybe
Yeah,
she's not. I think that's
yeah,
hard. I think the people that go to those shows most of the time are looking for something and hoping to have some dot connected that they can't do on their own,
yeah,
and she provides that for them.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's good or bad. You can make an argument both ways.
You could, you could. I don't think it's necessarily um either one.
It just gets dicey when money comes into play, right? Because if she was just doing this, providing this closure for people, you'd say, yeah, who's she hurting? It's when the money comes into play and people start
That's yeah,
falling adrift.
that's true. Um but then again,
You
there's
could say the same thing about gambling. We
yeah,
let that happen.
yeah,
People just sit at slot machines until
yeah,
they have no more money. And that just happens.
yeah. You could say the same about a lot of different industries that we, pay good money to make us feel better in one way or another. Um yeah, I guess it's all just a matter of what people are willing to pay for, honestly.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody's trying to fill something to
Yeah,
some extent.
yeah,
Everybody's got their own way of spending money on it.
yeah.
So does that bother you when you hear of people like that? Or are you just a little more skeptical in terms of, I don't really know, so you wouldn't pass judgment?
Um, People like
I guess the mediumship is a good one. Prime example. How do you feel about that?
it. It does bother me, to a certain extent because I do get a lot of clients who, come to me. Like for example, I got a client who reached out last week, saying that she's been scammed and she paid a lot of money to someone who she now realizes was just telling her what she wanted to hear and um, took the money and then blocked her. And, what do you do?
What can
So,
you do?
yeah, what can you do exactly? Like, I it is frustrating because situations like that give us all a bad name, you know? Um, and it kind of creates that level of distrust and makes us all look like we're potential scammers, you know? So,
Yeah, because you guys get lumped in together, right?
yeah,
It's just one big realm. So if
yeah,
somebody spoils something, it falls back on everybody.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's just human nature, though. We like to put people in boxes. So anybody that's affiliated with anything that goes sideways, it's everybody in that box now.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot? People come to you that have had bad experiences with other people and
Mhm.
say, hey, are they more skeptical when they come to you then? Or they're still searching for something and just hoping you're legit?
Surprisingly, I don't have much I don't particularly get people who come to me and are still skeptical even after they've been scammed, or they believe they've been scammed, or other people that they've gone to, stuff doesn't work or things like that. um or they've been promised something that just isn't promisable. Like, I did get a client one time where he paid a lot of money to have a practitioner make it so that he was going to win the lottery. And like,
Oh, this poor guy. This
yeah,
is not.
like
This is not gonna
I
end
I
well.
had to tell him. I was like, "Okay, bro, I'm so sorry, but that's just not that's not something that's realistic. That's not something that even like, I mean, even the devil's right hand couldn't do that for you, bro. Like, come on."
That's a big ask.
Yeah, it
That's a big
is. It
ask.
is. It is. And it's so just the odds of that happening alone. I mean, we can do things like we can we can make energetic shifts for you here and there. We can, change your outlook on things so that you're attracting more opportunities your way, but we're not going to rig the whole lotto system. Like that's just not something that, it just there's a level of being realistic versus being completely unrealistic, and it's sad that some people believe that, practitioners can just move mountains at the drop of a hat. So, I don't know.
Well, and in that guy's case, you feel bad for him, but
Yeah.
then you also think, well, yeah, dummy, what did you expect to happen? I mean, right? This is the guy that probably would have blown all that money buying lottery tickets,
Yeah.
which maybe he would have, I don't know, gotten some money back that way, but
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
do you expect? Do you know how much money he spent on trying to make that happen? Did he go to a spell caster to do that? And they
Yes.
said, "Hey, I've got just the thing."
And he had told me that he'd been to several.
Several that turned him down.
Several who told him that they could get him that result. And he paid them.
He
And
so this happened multiple times for this guy.
yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah. And then he comes to me and he's like, "Can you do it? Can you do it?" I'm like, "Sorry to break it to you, hun. No, that's not a thing." But of course, what I have to offer is I can help you in more sustainable ways. So my goal is to make your life work better for you in ways that make sense for you. So, for example, like um attracting work your way that is actually going to be like consistent ways of bringing in money. Um or helping you get rid of your habits that, is just eating up your money and things like that. So, I aim to help people turn their lives around in those small practical ways. But a lot of people don't want that.
They want the big ticket item.
Yeah, they want to win the lotto tomorrow, but that's just not. No. You'd have to make quite a deal with somebody, I don't know who, to get that to happen.
Is that the this I'm thinking about how I want to phrase this. Is that the extent of the power of spells that you can't make those giant drastic changes? It's you said like energy shifts. It's these small, minute tweaks in how you spend your money or how you look at something. Or is that just how you deal with it?
That's how I deal with it, because at least it's my belief that that creates more long lasting changes. So, in my experience, those big, um, like fast, major changes are very short lived. So, if you make a huge change right away and you get like say you were to get $10,000 that falls into your lap right away, like tomorrow. You just random check for $10,000. $10,000 is going to help you pay off a couple of your bills, probably. You might be able to pay off the rest of your car loan, whatever it is that you have, and then what? You know? And then you're back in the same situation that you're in before. You don't have a regular income. You don't have, any way of sustaining that. It's just a one-time deal and it's over. So I really like those long term, like the slow changes over the long term that help you keep things like in a more, I guess, higher state, rather than just a quick spike and then go right back down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, to keep it more sustainable.
Yeah, yeah.
If you have these high peaks, it's not, you
Yeah.
can't keep finding $10,000. I mean, finding it once would be great. You can't keep
Right.
hoping to find $10,000
Right.
every week to
Right.
pay for your bills.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's more manageable that way.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of, this is a weird question, do you find a lot of success with the spell candles that you cast? Yes.
I do. Yeah.
In terms of the person's life.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I do get a lot of, I actually don't think I've ever gotten anyone, coming back at me and saying, "Oh, it didn't work," blah blah blah. I'm so upset. Um, they do work for everyone in different ways, though, and I think that that's what's really interesting is they create those little energetic shifts that make the most sense for the person who has it. So, like, if I were to burn that candle, that banishing candle, it would work in a different way for me than it would work for you. Because it makes sense for it to work the way that it's working for me. But it necessarily wouldn't make so much sense working in that same way for you.
In terms of what we're trying to banish to some extent.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think, tying back into the theme of intention, would you attribute a lot of that to the intention of, if somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I want a candle to bring about, more financial stability in my life," then they're kind of primed for that. So you create this candle, you create this spell, and they're almost already, again, primed for that to happen. So they're more aware. So when the opportunity does present itself, they can actually take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think so.
Because people hear magic and they start kind of rolling their eyes, right?
Yeah.
Do you get that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you attribute that more? Because I mean, how do you define what magic is, right? Some people say that magic isn't real, but they believe in miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what does that mean? What's a miracle?
Yeah.
What do you have it when somebody drives off a cliff and they survive without any serious damage? They walk away with a scratch.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It
and
could
that
have
happens.
been a miracle. It could have been my car protection charm. You never know.
Do you have a car protection?
I do.
Do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Great plug. Wow. A car protection charm. So that would specifically protect your car.
Well, it protects the carrier during travel. So it works in the car. It works on a plane. It works, anytime you're moving from point A to point B, by some kind of a mode of fast travel. That's what it's intended for.
Is it life lasting? Or you need a candle for each trip?
No, so it's not a candle. It's like a little sachet bag that I make. It's
I don't know
it's
what a sachet is.
so I don't think I have I have one in my car. But it's like a little burlap like sack that's like tied with like little things in it, and you just kind of hide it like under the seat of your car or in the center console or whatever, and it just does its thing. Um, it's kind of the same though as, I've seen people hang crosses from their rearview mirror. I've seen people keep things in their car that's like a little superstition, um, whatnot, that they believe, protects them while they're traveling, or keeps their car safe or keeps them safe, avoids accidents or whatever it is that it does. So I think that it's a very similar concept. It's just something that I make that, of course, the ingredients have the correspondences that go along with, um, travel. And it all goes back to that, certain ingredients are traditionally believed to have like this property. Um, or, the crystals that are used, like they're believed to have this
I've got
property.
a crystal right there that's supposed to cleanse the
Ooh,
room as
that's
well.
pretty.
Yeah.
That's
Shout
pretty.
out to Jana Campillo.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, the cross thing is huge, right? I know a
Yeah.
lot of people that hang crosses in their car, or have a rosary with them
Mhm.
as a protection or to ward off whatever
Mhm.
spirits they think might be around them. That's a real thing. I'm a huge believer in that whatever you believe in, whatever you put weight in, means something to you,
Yeah.
obviously. And you can attribute that to anything. You could believe in the power of your favorite coffee mug to have a great day, right? And it
Yes.
sounds cheesy, but people do that. Oh, if I have
Yeah.
this mug and I get my coffee, it's going to be a great day. And then you don't have that mug one day and you're already primed for a shitty day, and
Yeah.
that's how your day goes.
Yeah.
And it's just what you put your weight into and what you believe.
Yeah.
That's a real thing for people. We keep going back to that theme of what you believe in matters, and just being primed for success or primed for failure.
Yeah.
That's funny that you have a protection bag and we were talking about that. That's perfect. What is it that people normally come to you for? Is it something like that to like ward off a spirit or for protection, or is it for the money aspect or for
I think that um the number one thing is probably relationship problems.
the love candles?
Yeah.
I saw you wrote a blog post about that.
I did. Yeah.
You are not a fan.
Of
Love potions or love candles?
Yeah. So, I think that I have a really love-hate relationship with love spells. I do make a love candle, but it's not your typical love candle. I gear it more towards attracting the kind of love that's right for you, because in my experience, if you need a love spell to get the person that you're interested in or to fix the relationship, that's probably not the right person for you to begin with. And, a love spell can work for X amount of time. It can make things, it can turn things around. But if you are just not compatible with that person, no amount of spell work, no amount of anything you do is going to change that. And then you kind of get into the realm of like, should you be changing that person in the first place?
Because it's more manipulative
It
at that
is.
point.
It really
Because obviously,
is.
yeah, if you guys were perfect for each other, it would probably work out.
Yeah.
If you need the spell, it's probably not working out.
Yeah. And then, it, like, for example, if, bro wants to come to me because, girl he's interested in said no, and he needs a spell to make her say yes, that's borderline gross, to be honest. So just,
Yeah, it's only romantic if the girl does it, right? She's like, I really like this guy, and
oh,
he
that's
just
gross
doesn't know.
too.
Yeah,
No,
that's
it works both ways.
huh. I do you believe that are there spells that you could actually get somebody to fall in love with you, or is it really? Have you done anything like that, or you know of any circumstances? No, you wouldn't do that, but you know of circumstances where that's happened,
Yeah, I,
and it's worked.
yeah. And it doesn't, okay, it does not turn out very well
What
in my
happened?
experience. Um, it just tends to, I mean, it just blows up in your face. It
But
really
it
does.
works in the sense that it does get the person to be attracted to you for some duration of time.
It does. Honestly, I think what typically happens is it plays on some level of attraction that was already there. Or it spells like that play on something that was already there. So if there was nothing already there at all, then it's probably not going to do anything. But it will, grab onto that one little shred and it will amplify that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's almost like the priming thing again.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really feel like you're getting into very dangerous territory when you do stuff like that because it's not, again, going back to that sustainability thing. Like, it's not a sustainable situation. You get yourself involved with this person, or you create this level of like infatuation or whatever it is, and then it just crashes and burns because if you had to do a spell on them to get them to be interested in you, then that's not the right person for you in the first place. And eventually, you will realize why it is that they're not for you in the first place. So,
It's interesting that you have these ethical guidelines for you. Is that common in the space? Because you hear those horror stories of people taking advantage of others, right? Like the
yeah,
guy trying to get the lottery ticket.
yeah.
But you seem very set on no, I've kind of got this code that I'm gonna maintain with what I do.
Yeah, I I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a code. But my goal is to help. And if I'm not helping, then I'm not helping. So it just like I want to make things better for you, and I have this firm belief that what we want at the time isn't always what's best for us. And I think that it's kind of like, who am I to say what's best for someone else? But at the same time, it's kind of an outside perspective. Like, hold on, take a look at it from, like take a step back and take a look at it. What you want in the moment isn't going to be good for you down the road, or it's not going to make things better for you long term. It'll make you happy now because you're getting what you want now, but at what cost? So I just like, I'm very firm on like, my goal is to help, and if I know I'm not helping you, I just can't bring myself to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's interesting hearing that because when people hear of this space and like palm readers or anything that is out of their realm of what they think is right to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
they get a little squirmy. And they think it's all like the seedy underbelly of the world. Especially when you get into witchcraft, right? People hear witchcraft and think witches burning at the stake, casting spell, like
Yeah.
that, right? There's
Yeah.
that stigma. And yet, if you heard, the reading tea leaves in what is that, Chinese culture? That's
Yeah.
that's a real thing. But then
Yeah.
it lends itself to that cultural aspect too, in that if you brought that over here, people might be a little skeptical. But over there, that's just practical,
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine.
I think it's just, I think it's a little bit different, based on what space you are raised in, or what space you are in culturally. I think it differs what is considered acceptable and what is a little bit
Yeah.
and then I do think that there is a big aspect of, you know, one bad seed is going to ruin it for all of us. Like one scammer witch person is going to, make us all look like we're um gross scammers and just out to take your money from you. So,
How does one learn how to do the spells? Is this you're just taking ingredients that you have found are attributed to certain things, like that card protection one?
mhm.
You're just taking basic elements and kind of adding them to your own thing. Is there a book on casting spells? How does that work?
There are tons of books. So
I'm
there,
not surprised. I said that,
yeah,
and as I was thinking about that, I was like, "There's probably thousands of books."
there are
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of books, and there's a different way of doing everything, and then there's different ways of doing those different ways. So everyone has, I don't know, I guess that's the thing about witchcraft is there's no one way to do it. There's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's no user manual. There's no like this is how you do it. This is, spin 3 times and say this chant 4 times and that's it. Like there's no, it doesn't work that way. I think it's just all honestly, I think it's all um how well you can work with energy. And I I think it's all energy work, honestly. I think it's energy work and belief. And I think everyone has a different way of going about that.
Yeah. Because when I hear witchcraft, I go to the trope of we're gonna sacrifice a goat under a blood moon, and we're gonna do something crazy like that. Do you attribute any weight to that? Is that do people practice witchcraft? I do not know anything about the space. I'm realizing as I'm talking to you about it. That's why I'm so fascinated by it. Is
Yeah,
that a real thing, or does that carry weight to some people in that space?
yeah, it does. I mean, there are different ways of like there are tons of different traditions. There are very ritualistic based traditions. And then, there's the traditions of witchcraft that work more like organized religions in some way. So, there's different, it's, witchcraft is such an umbrella term, like a hugely umbrella term. It's like, it's kind of like Christianity, where you have all these different, like, one side of Christianity over here is not going to be the same as, this side over here. It's all under the same umbrella term, but there are very, very different traditions and sides of it. So, um, witchcraft is the same way, in a way. Does that make a little more
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. You have all these different groups that kind of ascribe to the same ideals, but they interpret them in different ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know people where you're like, oh, I can't go near them because they're on that far side of the witchcraft thing? Is that
Um, no, I'm honestly not I'm not like deterred or afraid of that like other far side. It's just not. I do have a couple of friends who are very like very into the ritualistic part of it and very like, you know, working with spirits and deities and I do get into all of that too, but mine is more like a I want to say like working with nature and whatever nature spirits there are and just things like that. Like I'm very about the natural world and herbs and crafting things with herbs and stuff like that, which I would describe it as kind of more along the lines of folk magic. I have heard people tell me that I practice hedge witchcraft, or I'm a hedge witch. I don't know much. There's so many like terms and ways to describe everything, and like sure that may apply, but I try to keep things as simple as possible.
I don't know what hedge witch is.
I It's based on my understanding of it, it's someone who tends to practice with like herbs and uses like nature, and like nature is my church, that kind of, which I mean it does describe my practice pretty well. I haven't gone so far into like what the terms mean, and I don't know if I'm super interested in like studying the terms and figuring out what,
Category you fit into
yeah,
and all
like
that.
categories just don't I I'm not interested in categories. I do what I do and I know that it works and that's all that I care about, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's a good spot to be in. When you break down those boxes, it's kind of pointless, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because then you start getting into I don't know. I feel like when you start caring too much about like categories and the terms of it and adhering to the category that you subscribe to, then you kind of start boxing yourself in a little bit too much. And I think that that opens you up to doing things just for the sake of conforming to that box. And I think that that's a little bit of a dangerous realm in any situation.
Yeah, life in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've seen what that does with politics and things like that.
Doesn't
So
end well. It's
yeah,
never a
no.
good thing when you
No.
start just riding the political line or the party line or your group's line of
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah.
It never really works out.
No.
Huh. And with these, so the hedge is more natural. A hedge witch. That's what we
Yeah.
said. A hedge
Hedge
witch.
witch. Yeah.
Hedge witch. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're more in tune with the natural. Do you do any spiritual work outside, like trying to connect with people that have passed or spirits like that?
Um I don't go out of my way to connect with people who have passed. I do get a lot of requests for doing like, mediumship work, like Long Island Medium and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. I try to stay away from that because I don't like, I am not going to put myself in a situation where you have paid me to connect you with a, past loved one or something like that. And they're not coming through, or I'm not getting any messages related to them at all. And I mean, how awkward. Like,
You're both just sitting at a table, like,
yeah.
okay, I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for something to happen
Like,
here.
sorry.
Yeah.
No. Um, I do find that most of my spiritual connections happen in my dreams. So I have had like my loved ones come through and um, tell me pretty interesting things during my dreams. And it's just it's not a situation where you can just say, okay, like, I want to contact. I mean, maybe some people can. Maybe some people are better at this than me. Just sit down and say, okay, well, I want to contact great granddaddy John or, whoever, and, can you give me some answers about such and such, and then get what you asked for. My spiritual connection is not that way. I get what I get when I get it. And that's just what I have to accept. So I don't know.
With the dream aspect, because you do dream interpretation
I
readings?
do, yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So you were big on dreams and the
Yes.
power of dreams.
Yes.
How does that work? Somebody tells you a dream and you just try to interpret the meaning behind that?
So, dreams tend to be very cryptic and metaphorical in my experience. So, like, for example, if you're dreaming of, being trapped in a room and you keep having a dream of being trapped in a room, or you keep having a dream of people with no faces, like certain very specific aspects that show up in dreams are going to have a very specific meaning for you. I think it's just a matter of figuring out like what your intuition is trying to tell you, like what your inner self, your subconscious is trying to tell you. Because when we're dreaming, it's our subconscious mind that has the wheel of things. Our conscious mind is kind of quieted, and our subconscious mind is the one that is trying to process those things that we didn't process when we were awake. Our subconscious mind deals with the suppressed things. So, like obviously I'm not a psychologist. I don't, I've never even dabbled in psychology, but I am a firm believer that figuring out what your dreams are trying to tell you, or why your subconscious mind is bringing these things up in while you're dreaming, is very beneficial on a lot of levels, because it can do anything from giving us messages that our intuition is trying to tell us, but we can't quite grasp that message, to working through suppressed emotions, even from like situations in childhood that we haven't dealt with before. It's just like it can be very surface level and it can get super, super deep. So I do think that our dreams are very important, and um, kind of listening to that and delving into what's going on there can be super beneficial.
Well, yeah, even if you just took a really superficial glance at it, right? And you said, okay, I'm having nightmares every night, and this has been going on for a couple weeks. And then you realize, oh, yeah, maybe it's because I'm stressed at work,
Yeah,
and or my relationship is falling apart, or this is happening and I'm not dealing with it and just having nightmares.
yeah.
And it just translates that way in your body because you're not processing it, you're not working
Mhm.
through it, you're not trying to change it. So you're just in this state of chaos, going to sleep and having nightmares.
Yeah. And that's your subconscious mind kind of sounding alarm bells for you, like, hey, this is a problem we need to work through.
Yeah, and how many people actually work through that versus just suppress it and keep
Yeah.
going forward
Yeah.
and hope that something changes?
Yep.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Is it different in terms of the people that come to you for a dream reading versus the people that come for a candle or for a spell candle
What do you mean by different?
in terms of what they're hoping to get out of it? Would you say that people that are coming for back to the spell candles, it was predominantly looking for relationship help?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be predominantly people looking for closure with a loved one or having some nightmare and they can't figure out why that's happening, so they're coming to you?
Um, yeah, I definitely do think that it's a little bit of a different um what's the word I'm looking for? Demographic, I guess. I'm not really sure if that answers what you were asking.
Yeah, to some
Um,
extent. Well, because I'm thinking I would probably come to you and buy a candle, just be like, oh, cool. Like that was a great smelling candle. I would probably buy that candle. But I don't know what it would take for me to go to somebody for a dream reading. Like what kind of wild dream I would have to have, or what's keeping me up at night to make me go say, okay, I need some outside
got it.
perspective on this.
Got it. So I think that the people who tend to come for a dream interpretation reading tend to be the people who are a little bit more in tune and in touch with their dreams and their intuition and kind of the spirituality as a whole. Um, Not to say that people who aren't in touch with that aren't interested in, what's going on with their dreams, but I feel like that's something that most people don't realize, that, your dreams are trying to tell you something, or, you're trying to tell yourself something by the dreams that you're having. So it takes a certain level of realization, and self reflection, and um, kind of typically having a dream that bothers you enough, before someone will come and try to get that interpreted.
So that's kind of the catalyst. Like for you with the dream of the name, that could have been a catalyst for you to say, okay,
Yeah.
what is this trying to tell me?
Yeah. And I would have never looked into it if I hadn't been having that dream over and over and over and over
Was it the
again.
exact same each
It
time?
was.
That's what
Yeah.
freaks me out is when you have those dreams or those nightmares that occur the exact same way each
Yeah.
time. And it's
Yeah.
just like on playback.
Yeah. It was pretty freaky. I mean, it wasn't bad or anything. Like, it obviously it wasn't a horrible dream. It was more, what bothered me about it was that it seemed so realistic. Like, it was set in the house that I was living in at the time. My dog that I had at the time was also in the dream. It just was the same, like, setup, the same scenario. Just me hanging out on the back porch where I love to hang out all the time, and I was just signing these letters, which, I mean, we're in the age of technology. Who writes letters anymore? That was one thing that was like, okay, that's a little weird. But then, me signing that name, and I just kind of wrote it off as, oh, that's interesting the first several times. And then,
It just kept happening.
yeah.
Like, hey, maybe I should Google that.
Yeah. So you never know. Like, you could have a dream, your dream last night could have been something super significant and you don't even know because you didn't look into it, you know?
Do you think that every dream has a meaning behind it?
Not
Okay.
necessarily.
Because I've had some
Yeah.
wild dreams. It's like, that's just a throwaway one. We don't
Yeah.
need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to bed and, you just shut off like a zombie horror film, like,
Probably going to have some weird dreams.
yeah, your dreams are going to be influenced by that for
Yeah.
sure.
Might be a little biased in that
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Dreams are cross cultural though, right? Because you have dream excuse me, what is it? Dream catchers.
Oh
Wow, I
yeah,
was
dream
struggling with that
catchers.
word for a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Dream catchers in Native American cultures, right? That's a
Mhm.
big thing, is the power of the dream.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that there are others that I don't know about that also do that. Like it seems humans are intuitively connected to the dreams that they have.
Yeah. And it's it's kind of a universal experience all across the board as well. So, we all have dreams. It's just kind of a human thing. It's not one culture has dreams differently than another culture does. Like, we all dream pretty much the same way. So, I think that there's something to be said about
And are
that.
probably all having different dreams. I don't know of any two people that had the exact same dream.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very personalized. It's very, like, it's it's a process that happens to all of us. And a lot of people complain that they don't remember their dreams. So I do think that there is something to be said for the dreams that you do remember, honestly.
Isn't that just a wake up time thing though? That if you wake up during REM sleep, you're more likely to remember the dream that you had versus if you wake up in deep sleep.
I think that it is, but I do think that there is a certain I think that there's a certain uh stage of sleep that we tend to dream in.
Yeah, REM sleep, right?
I think so.
I think it's REM sleep.
I think
Is the
so.
dreaming one.
I read somewhere, it's horrible of me to say this when I don't even remember where I read it, but I read somewhere that if you don't dream, or if you tend to not remember your dreams, then you should look into the level of sleep that you're getting every night, because you're probably not reaching that stage of sleep or staying in that stage of sleep as long as you should. Um, Again, I don't remember. Like, don't.
We won't quote you.
Yeah. Disclaimer. Total
Yeah.
disclaimer on that.
Well, if
But
you, I mean, for me personally, if I am drinking a lot of alcohol one night and then go to
mhm,
sleep, I just black out. I don't
mhm.
remember any dreams that I had.
Yeah.
It's just you fall asleep and then you're up. There's no space in between.
Yeah, but then, drinking, especially drinking right before bed, affects the way that you sleep. And
That is true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Negatively. It's
Yes.
not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to say that I read somewhere that it is for some people at least it is dependent on what stage you wake up in as well, but I don't
Mm,
know. I'm not 100% on that one either. But I am pretty sure that REM sleep is when you have the dreams.
I think so.
And so any decline in that portion of your sleep would probably affect that.
It also affects a whole lot of other things
Sleep is huge.
about your health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sleep is incredibly important. I
Yeah.
was reading an article that attributed or was trying to link a decline in your sleep performance to like dementia and early onset Alzheimer's,
Oh, I believe
and
it.
that it's all these cognitive declines that people get are actually attributed to a lack of quality sleep and processed foods. That's a whole nother realm, but
Oh, yeah.
processed
Oh, my
foods was
God.
another big one that they were trying to tag onto that. Both of those freak me out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they say that they say it's been proven that when you sleep, that's when, you're healing yourself and your brain is recovering and, your body's doing all the things that it needs to do to rest and repair and all that stuff. And if your sleep is messed up, then that
You're not doing a lot
process
of
is
repairing.
interrupted. Yeah. And that can have a huge negative effect on your health.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. The problem is I don't think a lot of people think about it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like how important is sleep? I can get by on 5 hours of sleep. I don't really need a full 8. Like we'll be okay.
Yeah, but if you do that over a long period of time,
That's the key, right? It's over that long period of
yeah,
20 years, 30 years, 60 years, and then finally it catches up with you.
good luck,
Your
bud.
car starts breaking down.
Yeah.
Do you make any sleep candles? Candles for sleep?
I do actually.
Oh, that's
I make a lavender candle, which is really, really good for promoting sleep. Lavender is, if you burn it right before bed, it is known to affect your ability to like have dreams and remember your dreams. It's also, it promotes relaxation and which is obviously really good right before you go to sleep.
it's helpful. I
Yeah,
think you could say it's helpful.
yeah. And I think that there have been studies that have been done about the scent of lavender alone. So I have heard of people like scenting their pillow with lavender to help promote sleep. Um, Lavender is just known for, it's known for promoting rest and relaxation. So I make that one, and then I also make a dream magic candle, which does have lavender. It also has mugwort, which is also known to help induce like I don't want to say prophetic dreams, but intuitive dreams. So it's kind of known to sort of put you in that state where um, you are more in tune with your intuition. And using that right before bed can help with promoting those dreams coming up for you while you're sleeping.
I do a eucalyptus essential oil in like a diffuser before I go to sleep. I find that helps me.
Oh, that's really good.
Do you do anything with essential oils, or is that you're more focused on the natural
Um,
root aspect?
I like to use the herb itself. I do get a lot of crap, honestly, about not scenting my candles with essential oils. But honestly, I've done a lot of research about candles and making candles in a safe way. And essential oils is not good in candles. Um,
In
it's
terms
okay.
of the chemicals when it burns off?
Yeah, so essential oils are okay, but if you use them purely to scent the candle, so if your candle is scented just with essential oils, you would have to use so much essential oil to just get a scent from the candle that honestly, it's in danger of exploding. So I
That's not good.
no, not good at all. Not good at all. They're most essential oils are very, very flammable when introduced to a flame, and in small amounts, it's okay, but then it's such small amounts that it's not really effective being used in a candle. So if you're going to use essential oils, do it in a diffuser, not in a candle. Just FYI, they're essential oils are not good for candles. Um, so because I'm a candle person, I'm like huge about like the use of flame, and like I'll just light my herbs on fire. Like that's how I just resonate with doing things better that way. Essential oils really aren't my thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you're using the herbs already, right? You
Yeah.
already have them.
Yeah. So I mean, the essential oils are derived from the herb. I'm just using the herb.
Yeah,
Like
which is
it's
more
just
natural.
yeah.
Probably better.
I assume so. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people swear by essential oils.
That's interesting. You get a lot of crap for not using them. I wouldn't have thought that.
I think that there's a fad right now.
Around essential oils?
Around
Yeah.
essential oils, and a lot of candles are marketed as like if you scent them with essential oils, it's, I don't know, it's trendy or something like that. But like if you really look at it, it's not safe. So,
And they're just using it for a scent?
if yeah, if the if it's used for scent, you have to put so much in there to actually get it to smell that it's not even worth the risk.
How do you get a specific scent in your candles? How does that
So
work?
I use fragrance oils that are specifically made for candles.
What is the difference between that and an essential oil?
The difference between that is fragrance oils are not derived from like the plant itself. A lot of the fragrance oils that I use are made with essential oils. The difference is it's not purely essential oils. So there's not enough of that essential oil in there to create a problem. But it's also not enough to scent it by itself, if that makes sense. So these are lab created fragrance oils that are derived specifically for burning candles.
Is it a chemical? Are they deriving it through a chemical process, or how does that? That might be
I
a little too in depth.
it honestly it is. I use the cleanest ones that are available on the market because I myself have really bad allergies to artificial fragrances. If I have to be really careful what I burn because I will break out in hives. I will. It's bad. I can't use like scented lotions or anything like that. So like honestly, if I can use these,
It's good.
it's
Yeah.
good.
I didn't
It's
you? I think I
good.
read on your blog that you can't walk down a certain aisle at like a grocery store with all the chemicals because
It's
it
the
reacts,
laundry aisle.
and you have a literal reaction just from walking down the
Yes.
aisle.
If
Wow.
I go if I go through that aisle, and it's horrible for me when I have to buy laundry detergent because I get like a non scented, like completely scent free one. But after going through that aisle, I will have a rash
That is
the
so
inside of my
crazy.
arms, down my neck. It's just ugh, it's bad.
Well, when you think about it, the chemicals that they're putting in that can't be
No,
good for you.
they're not.
And I didn't know that you can get cancer from some candles. Is that a real thing?
I don't believe it's proven.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think that it's been like, I mean, I'm sure if it was proven that they would have.
Some notification. Put a
I'm
warning label on candles.
I You would think so, right?
You would think, but they just came out. Have you heard about the Skittles thing that just happened?
No.
I'm gonna butcher this, so don't quote me, but I believe the dye that they use to color Skittles is so toxic that I want to say it's the FDA, but it's probably not them. They labeled it not safe for human consumption, and it's literally just the dye for the Skittles. It's not like some flavor additive or anything. It's literally just the dye, and
Ew.
it's so toxic that they label it not safe for human consumption. I've eaten a lot of Skittles in my life.
I know, me too.
Yeah, right. But so I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. But fireplaces aren't good. A lot of people get cancer supposedly. I haven't done any research into that, but I've heard it enough times where I'm going to parrot it right now that fireplaces are incredibly toxic because you're just burning wood in your house. And
Mhm.
if you look at the where the ceiling meets the wall in your house, you'll often see like black soot
Mhm.
around it, especially if it's been a long time or you haven't painted in decades. You can see that soot and it makes sense that, oh yeah, well, you're breathing in that into your lungs. And so over a period of time, over decades, it's
Mhm.
probably not great.
That's true.
Obviously, a candle, you're probably safe because it's a much smaller scale, but
Honestly, I don't think anything's safe. Nothing is safe anymore. I don't know. I mean, I do my best to make sure that my candles are as non-toxic as possible. I use soy wax as opposed to paraffin because the typical um, candles are made with a paraffin wax, which is a petroleum product, which is not good for you. Um, they have, I've read that they have found problems with soy wax too. But then again, like, it's made from soy, and I get mine that was organically grown. So, I mean, if you burn anything, like, burning anything is going to cause some kind of an issue to some extent. Just do your best to make sure it's the lesser of all of the evils, I guess. I don't know.
and like you said, you are a pretty good litmus test. Where if you're reacting just walking down the aisle, and you're not reacting to this, you're
Yes,
probably pretty safe.
if I can burn it, if I'm not breaking out in hives, I'm sure everyone else is going to be fine with it too. you know?
That's interesting. I've never heard of anybody reacting just walking down the aisle like that. But it checks out. My sister has really sensitive skin, and she doesn't do well with chlorine. She has to use
Mm,
certain detergents because it just does not react well with her certain soaps. And it makes sense because you've got all these chemicals
mhm.
in this crap that's just on your body 24/7.
Yeah,
It's not
it's not good for
not
you at
great.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to burn that. I think
Good.
I'm gonna burn it in here. That smells really good. That is
I'm
a really good. I'm not like a candle aficionado or anything, but I would buy that. It smells really good.
cool. Good. Good.
Do you wanna? We can wrap this up. We've already been going for 2 hours. Do you wanna
Oh,
plug?
we've been here for 2 hours?
Yeah,
Dude.
I know. Do you want to plug where people can find you, where they can find the cauldron?
Yeah, so I'm at azilascauldron.com. It's AZILAS cauldron, CAULDRON.
Little spelling bee action
Yeah,
right
I
there.
think I got that right. But yeah, azilascauldron.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as Azila's Cauldron. I'm pretty much everywhere as Azila's Cauldron. So
And people can buy your stuff
yeah,
from the
so
website.
yeah, everything is available online. I have my readings listed on my website. I have all of my products listed on my website. Everything I offer there is handmade by me. So yeah.
That's awesome. And you also do a Patreon?
I do actually. I'm doing readings on Patreon currently. I just started my Patreon though, so I'm still working on adding things to it. I'm still super new to that, so I don't even know like what you typically add on a Patreon, to be honest. But currently, I'm posting just kind of general energy readings every single day of the week. So
How do you like that? I've been thinking about looking into Patreon, but I'm not sure.
running a Patreon.
Yeah. I know
Um,
you just said that you haven't been doing it very long, but do you like it? How do you like the
I
platform?
do. It's pretty easy to use. It's Pretty straightforward. It's simple. You can pretty much post whatever you want.
That's what I like about it. Is
Yeah.
being behind the paywall like that, you can really get away with a lot more than
Yeah.
you can on YouTube or anything
Yes.
like that.
Yes. And I've seen people have pretty good success from just posting things like, doing a live every Friday night for Patreons, or offering early access for YouTube videos like a week in advance or something like that. So, yeah, uh, the sky's the limit with what you can do for the people who subscribe to Patreon, and it's a nice way for the people who really enjoy your content to support you in a way that's not like purchasing products or something like that. It's just sign up for the Patreon and, get whatever it is that you're deciding to offer there. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't put the podcast behind the paywall, but I would do maybe a weekly interactive live episode or something like that.
yeah, that would
Because
be,
you can get away. I like the idea of being able to get away with a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you go by Kristen or Azila? Do
I
you have
go
a
by
favorite name?
either. Honestly, I hate the name Kristen. I don't like it at all.
So Azila's kind of the go-to.
Yeah, I mean, some people will never stop calling me Kristen, friends and family and stuff like that. But I don't know, I resonate a lot with Azila and I use them both. So
Have you thought about changing your name to Azila?
I've thought about it. Thought about it.
Still just kicking it
Still
around.
thinking about it,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I'm still kind of entertaining that idea. But I might do it. I might not. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. I really enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you again for the candle.
Well,
I'm
thank you
excited.
for having me.
Yeah,
on.
it was my
this
pleasure.
Was fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again.
Yeah.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Thanks, guys.